Hey everyone, and welcome to Newegg TV. My name is Paul, and today I'm going to be doing an unboxing and overview of this widescreen 24-inch 4K IPS monitor from NEC. This is the EA244UHD. I don't normally talk too much about packaging, particularly with monitors, but this has innovative airbag packaging from NEC, and I do like how they pay attention to eco-friendliness. They have a lot of that kind of integrated into this monitor, and to that end there's no styrofoam. Everything's actually very well packed in bubbles. Lovely bubbles. Also inside the box we have some documentation here, so this will help you get the monitor set up for the first timers. Also has warranty information there, and this does come with a 3-year manufacturer parts and labor warranty. It also covers the backlight, so that's very nice of NEC. And then we have some information here on disposing of your old monitor, especially if you're in the EU, but elsewhere as well. Another nod to eco-friendliness by NEC. Also included, you have your standard AC power cable there for providing power to the monitor. They've only included one actual display connection cable, but it is the good one. This is a full-size DisplayPort cable, and if you want full 4K resolution at 60 Hz, which this monitor is capable of, you're definitely going to want a computer that has a DisplayPort out, and you're going to want to use that cable. You also have a USB cable here, so this is a standard USB 3.0 A to B. This is for the integrated 3-port USB 3.0 hub. And then finally you have this cable, which is somewhat a proprietary cable, but this is specifically for the control sync feature that you can use to control up to 6 NEC monitors to make sure that the settings, color depth, and refresh rates are all equalized between them. Here's the EA244UHD monitor itself, and you probably couldn't tell by looking at it, but this actually comes fully assembled right out of the box. So the stand was already set up, so no assembly required. That is definitely nice. Now this is an IPS Panel Lcd monitor, and what does that mean? Well, the actual technology that is used to make the colors up here at the front of the panel is in-plane switching, or IPS. This is different from, say, a TN or twisted pneumatic panel, and it has some specific characteristics. The benefits of IPS are generally color reproduction, which it usually is much better at, and then the other significant characteristic of it is that the response time of it is usually less than TN. The difference here is that IPS is generally much preferred for content producers, content creationists, because the color reproduction is much more accurate, whereas TN panels are often much more popular for gamers because of the response time being so fast. Response time on this is still not slow at all by any means. It's 6 milliseconds. But all that being said, this particular monitor is 24 inches measured from corner to corner. Actual viewable image size is 23.8 inches. Specifically, the monitor is an AH-IPS, or Advanced High Definition IPS panel. Aspect ratio is 16:9, which is the same as 1920 by 1080, which is very important if you're going for a 4K monitor, because you might want your standard 1080 videos or anything like that you play to scale properly, and for this they will, and they'll fill up the screen entirely. The actual resolution here is 3840 by 2160, so that's 2160 pixels vertically and 3840 pixels horizontally. The pixel pitch is 0.14 millimeters, and then that gives you a native resolution pixels per inch, or PPI rate, of 185 PPI, which is very dense for a monitor that's being both 4K and 24-inch, contributes to that. Apart from that, we have a 350 candelas per square meter brightness, which is quite good, and then an actual real-world contrast ratio of 1,000 to 1, and thank you NEC for not throwing some absurd number at us like 20 million to 1 or anything like that. The viewing angle is another nice feature of this. It's 178 degrees both vertically and horizontally, so for off-axis viewing you should be totally set. And then since this is really geared towards content creationists, being an IPS panel, the Adobe RGB coverage is 99.3%, NTSC coverage is 94.8%, and sRGB coverage is 146.4%. This will actually display 1.07 billion colors. Taking a look at the connectors on the bottom of the monitor, starting on the left side over here, we have a USB 3.0 hub built in as mentioned, so there's the B side of it, so that would go with that included cable over to your monitor, and then 2 of the available USB 3.0 ports are located on the bottom there, the other one is on the side. You have a couple single link DVI-D, so these are digital DVI connectors. Now DVI can't handle a 4K, they cannot handle the transfer of 4K resolution image, so these are limited to 1080, so just bear that in mind, although again 1080 will scale just fine on this monitor, so you can still use those for additional connection of monitors. You have a couple HDMI inputs as well, and these are going to be HDMI 1.4 capable. HDMI can do 4K, but it is limited to 30 Hz maximum refresh rate, so bear that in mind. Horizontally and vertically, the synchronization range of this monitor actually goes up to about 75 Hz max on the vertical, so you should be able to do 60 Hz just fine if you are using these DisplayPort connectors, so you get a couple of those as well. And again, if you want that full 4K resolution at 60 Hz, those are the connectors that you will want to use. Finally, we have a couple more ports right here. Those are the proprietary ports there, and that again is for that control sync function. You can daisy chain the monitors together with that cable, so it's got both an in and an out. And finally, on the far right, you do have an 1/8" audio connector, and this monitor does have 2 built-in speakers, so you can use built-in audio via HDMI DisplayPort or by an analog input via that jack. Finally, on the far right side, you have your power connector, and that is simply to provide power to the monitor. And then above that, actually on this side of it, there is a Kensington lock, so you can lock this down if you're in an environment where you feel like theft might be an issue. The monitor also has a standard 100 by 100 millimeter VESA mount in the back here that's already being used. It's actually got a couple positions for that, and then right above it, it has this convenient carrying handle, so you can lift the monitor up to move it around a little bit more easily. I'm going to go ahead and collapse it down so I can show you guys some more stuff going on in the back here. Now, you might notice that I have the AC power cable plugged in. That's to show you guys how the cable management works here. I actually like this because it lets you tuck everything away and get it really kind of out of what you would see on your desktop. You run it all the way down the back there. And then it's got both sides are set up like that, so you can take all your cables here, kind of tuck them down and through, and then run them out the back if you like a really clean desktop where you can't see any of the cables from your monitor. That's pretty cool. Apart from that, I've been mentioning environmental standards, so I will also point out here that we have ENERGY STAR 6.0 as well as RoHS compliance. And then the stand, which is quite nice, so I'm kind of showing you part of that here, but since I'm flipping it around this way, I did also want to point out right over here, we have our third USB 3.0 port as well as a headphone jack, so you can wire your audio through this monitor and then easily plug in your headphones. Flipping the stand all the way around, you can see it's got almost 360 degrees of rotation for the swivel right there. Of course, you also have that easy height adjustment that I was showing you just a moment ago. You have tilt, so you can go both positive and a little bit of negative tilt there as well. And then if you raise it all the way up, you have the fantastic pivot function as well. You just have to make sure you go the right way. And there you go, so you can put it into portrait or landscape mode depending on your preference, and I really like a full-featured monitor stand that can do all of these functions. And now I've gone ahead and plugged in our computer to the system to give you guys a better idea of what it means when you talk about 4K. Well, one of these little squares that you can see on screen here from our background is 1920 by 1080. So the reason we hear 4K is because you're basically taking 1920 by 1080 and you're doing 4 of them, 4 times. Sometimes you can also say, well, it's 3840 rounded up to 4000, but some people getting mad when you say that sort of thing. So we'll just say 4K is 4 times the resolution or the number of things you can display on screen, 4 times that of 1080. Now, one thing you do want to bear in mind with a display like this is that your icons are going to be very, very tiny, as you can kind of see from the start bar down there at the bottom. So you might want to go into your Windows UI or whatever operating system you might happen to be using and adjust those types of elements so that they appear larger, so that the text appears larger, so that you can read it a little bit more easily. But apart from that, we also have a feature that's integrated down here at the bottom, these 2 little dots. One of those is actually an ambient light sensor, so it will dim or brighten the display's brightness depending on the ambient light. So if it's brighter in the room, it will brighten up the display so you can see it better. If it's darker in the room, it will darken the display to help save power. Again, that goes along with the eco features of this particular monitor. And then one last no, it's not even the last eco feature, but is the other one, which is actually a human sensor. So it will detect if there's a person in front of the monitor, and if you get up and walk away, it will go into power saving mode. But of course, none of these features would be appealing to anyone if you didn't have some level of control over them. So down here in the lower right, we have our on-screen display, and this does have touch buttons here for both turning the power on and off, as well as operating, well, all of the touch displays buttons, which have different functions depending on what you're doing. So for instance, right now, I've just jumped up into the main menu, and we can go to some basic features such as adjusting brightness, contrast, or adjusting those eco modes that are available. So you can change your ENERGY STAR settings here, for example, brightness, black levels, off modes, and sensor settings. So if you don't want the display to detect when you get up and walk away, then you can do that. There's the human sensing option there as well, and how long it takes and that sort of thing. Apart from that, we will jump over. Actually, I'm actually adjusting things now. Hey, okay, let's go back one. There we go. So here we can adjust the actual left, right, up and down, horizontal and vertical resolution, overscan, expansion, response time improvements, sharpness. Over here we can go into some color presets. So there are presets that are available. You actually have AccuColor color control built in here, so you can get your ideal color correction built in there. And again, that's especially important for content creators. Here you can adjust volume and sound output. You can also do multi-picture and picture-by-picture. So since this does have such high resolution on the monitor, you can set it up to display 2 different images side by side from different inputs. So that's another cool feature. Moving right along though, we have language options here. Also, you can turn the on-screen display on or off, or lock it out if that's something you want to do to keep others from messing around with it. And then this is the final eco-friendly feature, I promise, and that is this carbon footprint meter. And there's also a resettable cost meter, so you can look at your eco-friendly display and compare it to your friend's non-eco-friendly display and see, look, this is how much of my carbon footprint I've reduced by using this eco-friendly monitor. And also it will give you your cost savings as well if you're a bit more pragmatic about that sort of thing and you just want to say, how much money did I save? Finally, just info here, and I did want to point out, even though I've been championing the use of DisplayPort for connecting up this monitor, I'm just plugged in via HDMI 1. So here we can see the vertical refresh rate is actually 30 Hz. That is one of the limitations of HDMI. However, you can still do 3840 by 2160. And again, if you do want a full 60 Hz refresh rate, then you should switch over to DisplayPort, and that gives you the model number as well as NEC's website as well. If you guys want to check that out for more information on this display, it's necdisplaysolutions.com. So this has been the NEC Multisync EA244UHD 4K 24-inch IPS monitor. I'm Paul with Newegg TV, and if you enjoyed this video, then leave me some feedback in the comment section down below. I want to talk to you content creators in particular. Do you guys think that this monitor would help you with your workflow? Do you think the color depth and the resolution are something that would provide you with assistance or increase your productivity? I would like to know, so let me know. Also, hit the like button while you're down there, and there will also be a link to this product in this video's description. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.